is a podcast about all things holistic health and self-discovery with me, Ask Elizabeth, counsellor, health advocate and fundraiser. Join me as we get to know these guests and learn about how they implement health, well-being and self-care practices into their lives. Welcome to Unearthing Wellbeing with Ask Elizabeth, where our greatest wealth is health. Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 25 of Unearthing Wellbeing. This week I had Evan Karavitis on the podcast. He is the owner of Discover the Wild Olive. You may have seen me using and selling his products previously. However, today you will learn why this amazing product was launched, as well as a plethora of benefits it has on one's overall holistic health. So I won't speak any further. Take a listen for yourself. Hi Evan, welcome to Unearthing Wellbeing, where your greatest wealth is health. How are you today?
Very well, how are you?
Good, thank you. For those who don't know you, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Geez, it's there's not much to tell, to be honest. No, look, I'm a dad. I run a couple of different businesses. We're expecting another little baby, myself and my wife, in about 4 weeks' time. So I'm a family man. I lead the family man life, and we obviously run businesses as a couple that we're both involved in. So my wife runs a hair salon, which is completely different to what I do. I also own an F45 gym, so in the health and fitness industry, and have been for the last 10 years. And before that, I was a semi-professional soccer player in this country. So health and wellness has always been the forefront of what I do, which led me into F45. My wife has always been a hairdresser, which led her into her business. And then I guess we're here today to talk about the Wild Olive and how I got involved in that. So thanks for the opportunity of bringing me on and chatting that through.
My pleasure.
But yeah, in a nutshell, that's me, family man. I work hard, don't really play hard anymore, but work hard. And, you know, health is at the forefront. Family is at the forefront, and positive things, especially during these times, is definitely at the forefront.
That's amazing. So tell us how you started on this journey of discovering the Wild Olive, and how has it become a thriving business?
So the Wild Olive really started out as a conversation. So we went on a family holiday back to Greece in 2000 and what are we now, 21? So about 2018, I think it was. We went on a family holiday for 6 weeks to Greece, and we've got some really close family friends who are like family to us in southern Greece, who we've had, you know, family ties with for 50 years longer. The gentleman that initially had the chat with me about olive oil in general, and then early harvest extra virgin olive oil and wild olive oil, was a boyhood friend of my father's. So they grew up together in the village before Dad migrated with his family to Australia. So as a family, we've always owned original Greek olive trees. We've got our own grove. We had our groves, which, you know, this guy, his name is Costa, obviously looked after for us because we're here in Australia.
Yeah.
And he was driving us one day from the village to the airport in Athens to come back to Australia. So it was the last thing we sort of spoke about on that family holiday. And he presented the idea to me of, hey, have you heard about wild olive oil? And I said, I actually haven't. I said, I've heard about, you know, extra virgin olive oil from planted, cultivated trees. I had even heard of early harvest extra virgin olive oil, which is a step up from your extra virgin that's readily available here in the market. But I'd never heard or knew that wild olive trees grew out of a terrain in ancient parts of Greece. So he didn't even really pitch the idea to me. It was more a conversation, and I came back to Melbourne, did a bit of research, and completely fell in love with it. Completely fell in love with it for what it is, the product, what it does for the human body, and it also gave me that connection that I was looking for with the motherland, being Greece, that, you know, I always wanted to find. I didn't want to find it through the same avenues sort of my family had connections with Greece in, where, things like, religion or politics or property or things like that. So it was more something different that really spoke to what Greece was and really spoke to my values as a person and the health industry. So conversation was had, and we moved forward from there.
Amazing. And I think it's so true when they say things happen for a reason and you don't expect it, but it comes organically and when the time's right for you.
Yeah, definitely. So, it just came out of nowhere. And, the industry that I was in at the time and still are in, it, presented this opportunity. And the wild olive is very unique to the world and definitely very unique to Australia. And a huge part of the business has been education. There's a lot of myths and scientific facts that come along with extra virgin olive oil. There's a lot of do's and don'ts when it comes to it. I've been doing this now for about 4 years in total, and what we've uncovered and been able to educate people in is huge. It is really, I know it sounds cliche, but it is really a liquid gold.
Yeah, when I was introduced to it, I was stunned at how closely it tasted to like my grandparents' olive trees and olive oil back in Italy. But the thing was, this is a step up, like you said, because it's medicinal value, which is phenomenal. And I guess for those who don't know what wild olive oil is, could you tell us more about that?
Break it down. Yeah. So wild olive oil is exactly what it sounds like. So, for example, there's certain species of trees that are native and grow wild within Australia. Okay. Europe has an abundance of these things that we never hear about. So there's a certain type of olive tree which is no other variety. So I commonly get asked the question, what variety of Greek olive tree is it? And the answer is it isn't a variety, it's its own variety. So it's wild olive oil. It grows from wild olive trees, and it's exactly what it means. So there's certain parts in mountainous terrains in Greece, all over Greece, but very unique really to southern Greece. So sort of from Athens all the way down to sort of the Peloponnese, where they're rocky mountainous terrains. And because of the weather, the rain, the terrain itself, the ocean, the soil itself, it may have been something as simple as, a bird picking an olive and eating the olive from a cultivated olive tree, a farmed olive tree, flying up to a mountaintop, dropping the pip, and an olive tree sprouting.
Wow.
Okay, so it is Mother Nature's gift to the world, and wild olive oil, we obviously have a European Union health claim. It allows us to make claims in Europe. We're gunning to get it health claimed within Australia. At the moment, we import it as a food. But we know what it does, and we can say what it does in a certain way. But in Europe, it's pretty much anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, brain health, heart health, bone health, gut health, skin, hair, nails, and they're scientifically proven. So to be European Union health claimed, obviously in Europe in general, there's a certain level of polyphenol content, okay, which I'm going to go out and say it. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I think we're pretty much the first company in Australia that has really started talking about polyphenol content, and a lot of started to follow suit now, which was always going to happen, and that's exactly what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
So in Europe and the US, polyphenol content is very well known. And when we talk about polyphenol content, we're pretty much talking about the anti-inflammatory and antioxidant capacity of the oil, okay? So to be European Union health claimed, you need over 1,000 milligrams per kilogram of polyphenols in your oil, okay?
Wow.
Your average Australian extra virgin olive oil probably measures at about 300 to 400 milligrams.
What?
Yeah. So your average. Not to say there isn't Australian olive oils, there definitely is that measure very high, but then it's, are you going to get the same taste and feel and texture whilst getting that medicinal content as well? There are also European olive oils that measure that, but our oil, for example, the wild, we got a reading last year of 1765 milligrams per kilogram. Right?
Wow.
So we're well above that 1,000 to be European Union health claimed. And it's not only that, there are oils in the world that far exceed our polyphenol content. The major difference is, though, do they taste or have the story plus the medicinal content to be able to actually ingest it? So I've tried to ingest some extra virgin olive oils that have 5,000 milligrams per kilogram of polyphenol content, but you can't actually swallow it. So what we've been able to do is find a cultivation technique, plus as well as the story that's pretty much God sent, Mother Nature sent. We can't control that. It's whatever they give us or whatever comes out year in, year out, okay? We're finding ways to slowly but surely increase that polyphenol content, but we need to be very careful that we keep it in the realm of being able to actually ingest it, okay? So we're very lucky that we pull that content. We're very lucky about the story and the fact that you can, still ingest it. And I'm honestly very proud and honored to be able to bring this product to the world. Because, when the idea was initially pitched to me, I thought to myself, there's no way this is the only wild olive oil in the world. There has to be another one. There's always going to be a number two. That's life. That's brands. That's general knowledge. But again, it's been 4 years, the journey so far, and I've spoken to numerous professors, entered numerous awards in Europe and all over the world. I mean, we just won a gold award in London. Last year, we won a platinum award in Berlin. And the story for the polyphenol content or the antioxidant capacity that we've got, it just keeps getting clarified for me over and over again that there's no one else doing it. There's actually no one else doing it. So I'm pretty honored.
That's phenomenal. And the fact is, like you said, the awards kind of speak for the product itself, not to mention the experts in the field are clarifying for you and reiterating for you that this is as like literally liquid gold.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you hear it from sort of one professor, and look, we work very closely, and a lot of companies in Europe do, but he's especially interested in our product because it is the only product. So, Professor Prokopis Mayatis, his name is. So him and his wife have been studying high phenolic olive oil for about 30 years.
Wow.
So he heads up a team in the University of Athens. He's also part of a team in the University of Davis in California. So I, quite often consult with him and speak to him about what we're doing, and he's assisting us in every way he possibly can. His long-term goal is to do exactly what we're trying to do, educate people on what olive oil constitutes and what it was originally made for. So, he's doing some huge things with high phenolic olive oil. So when, I got the surety from him that, hey, he actually said to me in our initial Skype when the business became an idea, and I don't like to refer to it as a business because the business is actually secondary to what we're trying to achieve here. We're trying to bring back what olive oil was 100 years ago.
Mm.
He said to me, hey, Evan, he said, speaks English well, obviously, and said, tell me about what you've got. So I told him about, what we're doing and what we've got and things like that. And he said to me, his answer was, you've got no idea what you've got. And I said, well, that's what I know. That's the research I've done. And he said, you're the only one that's bringing this to the world, that's got the ability now to bring this to the world. People have tried. And it's not because of, who I am. It's because of, the way we've gone about it and the research we've done, and that we've taken the leap of faith to do something different and for it to be a huge education process. And that's the first and foremost, the thing that's at the forefront. The business behind it is secondary for me. This has given me a deep connection with Greece, and something that I love and actually enjoy myself. So there was no other oils in our house. It was always extra virgin olive oil from Greece.
Yeah.
There was no canola. There was no vegetable. There was no, hemp even these days. It was all extra virgin. I don't know food without it. So when he said that to me, I think something inside of me just went, wow, like I have to run with this, and then, I think about things that, like stories my grandparents would tell me, that when they came to Australia, you couldn't buy extra virgin olive oil on a shelf. You had to go to a pharmacy to get your 500 mils because it was considered a medicine.
Yeah.
So my thing is, well, what's changed from 1960 to now, where it's become such a readily available commodity? And then because it is so readily available, well, what are you actually getting? What are you actually paying for? Do people know what? Is it just for cooking? Are there different levels? There's so much. So the wild olive there's a goal and an aim to say, okay, there's wild olive oil, there's early harvest, which a lot of companies refer to as first pressed, or I guess your superior olive oils, and then there's your extra virgin. And then obviously there's olive oil in general. The most disappointing part of the industry is that there's obviously so many people that are doing the wrong thing. And it happens in every industry. It happens in every industry, in every walk of life. But, when I see oil that's, being sold on a supermarket shelf, for example, for, you can buy a litre for $8 or $9, you think to yourself, what is it? What's in there?
Exactly.
What are people paying for? What are they getting? Are they getting health benefits? Is it, because my thing is now being in industry is, well, how much is it actually costing them to produce that oil? If they're able to sell it on a supermarket shelf for $8. Look, there's always different levels and aspects in life, but should people be actually drinking this? And is that where this whole ideology of, well, extra virgin's not as, not made out or not as cut out as what people are saying it is. Whereas if you look at the really top end extra virgin olive oils, the cost is a lot higher because it starts from the cultivation, the processing, there's more labour, the trees are more rare, the variety is more rare, and then, it funnels all the way down to when it hits the shelf. So our goal is to really say to people or educate people, this is what it is, this is what it does, and this is what you should be paying for it, because this is what it was 50 years ago. And if you look at, areas of Greece or Southern Europe in general where people live to 100 plus years old, if you go and chat with those people, they'll put it down to probably three things. They'll say everything's homegrown, because in those areas they're self-farmed. We cook everything with extra virgin olive oil. And in Greece especially, they'll say, oh, I have my Greek coffee, 1 coffee a day. It's got a lot to do with their lifestyle, though. They obviously lead a very relaxed lifestyle in areas like that compared to our lifestyles. Stress for me is a huge thing. But you can't help but think the Mediterranean diet, which a lot of it is extra virgin olive oil, these people are living a lot longer than what, people in big cities are. So it's, for me, the proof's in the pudding.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think it's all about that holistic view of things. So it's not just, it's the olive oil, but it's also how you live a stress-free life and how your food's grown and so forth. So if you can combine those all together, it's a match made in heaven, really.
Yeah, definitely.
Breaking it down for me, what are the products and how can they be used?
Okay, so we've launched with 2 products at the moment. We are going to be bringing in different sizes very shortly as the business grows, obviously. And down the track, we've got ideas of bringing in a few different products that have a lot to do with your body and maybe your hair, but I'm not going to reveal too much, which are huge in Europe already. So we do an early harvest extra virgin olive oil. Okay, so people say to me, well, what's the difference between yours and, say, a normal extra virgin? The big difference is this. So I can only refer to and talk about European cultivation times. So extra virgin starts getting picked November, December, which we don't do. It's not that we don't do it for a reason. It's just because I was always looking for something different that's not readily available in Australia and probably the world in general. So early harvest comes from cultivated trees, so they're planted trees. We're very lucky that our trees are from a very rare, not readily available in Australia, olive tree variety. So the original Greek olive tree was called the Athenian olive tree. Okay, stems back to, some will say myth, some will say the actual story that the ancient Greek gods Poseidon and Athena approached the ancient Athenians, Greek Athenians, and said, okay, what do you want? What do you prefer? Poseidon offered them water, obviously the sea, and which Greece was obviously surrounded by, and Athena offered them the olive tree. And the ancient Athenians said, no, we want the olive tree, and they named the city after her, and the rest is history. So I guess the story, goes on to say, well, okay, what commodity do they prefer? And they picked the olive tree over water. Now, if you asked me to go back thousands of years, what would I have picked? I probably would have picked water. But the reality is, the story's there for a reason, to show you how important and symbolic. Let's not forget about how, the ancient Olympians were awarded, instead of gold medals, wild olive wreaths made crowns for around their heads. So it was a symbol of not only the medicinal side of it or the food you got from it, it was a symbol of peace as well. The olive tree symbolizes peace. So that's huge for me as well. So we don't work with your readily available varieties. Say, everyone knows Kalamata. The real word for it is Koroneiki. We don't work with that variety. It is a fantastic variety, but ours is more rare, so we work with the Athenolian trees. Our youngest tree is probably 300 years old. Our oldest tree is probably 3,000 years old. So it's quite scary to think these trees were planted before Christ in ancient Greece, and that's why I'm so honoured to say that I'm able to work with these commodities and these trees. So that's our early harvest. Our early harvest reads at above 1,000 milligrams per kilogram, so that's a European Union health claimed as well. That's a drizzling oil. So you can cook with it. There's no dramas to cook with it, but I would suggest, it's best done with a salad after you've cooked on your fish, your meats, your poultry, salads, all that type of stuff. And then obviously we've got our wild olive oil, which we've been speaking about this whole time. Purely medicinal. I've heard some outrageous stories of people giving it to their pets.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no, look, pets are a huge thing in people's life, and they come back to me and say, my dog's coat is better than ever.
Wow.
And I think to myself, each to their own. My suggestion is, though, that it's a teaspoon a day. And when I first brought it out into Australia, the only way I could sort of get people to realise what it was like is I used to say it's the Manuka honey of olive oil.
Yeah,
so there's
it really
obviously honey
is.
that you'll use for spreads, and then there's obviously Manuka honey, which everyone knows its medicinal content and how you take it. Wild olive oil is very similar. It is a completely unique taste. A lot of people say to me, it's very peppery, very bittery. That's showing you the quality of the oil. You get some of that in our early harvest, not to the extent of the wild, because obviously the antioxidant capacity is a lot higher than the early harvest. But one's for food, one's medicinal.
That's so good. And what are your favourite ways to utilise these products? So specifically the white one.
My favourite way to taste the white and to utilise it could be something as simple as a very lightly toasted piece of nice bread, and just drizzle some olive oil on top and just eating it like that. The bread tastes phenomenal, and then that's where you really get the taste of the oil. Now, I may be a little bit biased because I am Greek, obviously, but a Greek salad with our early harvest is ridiculous. Our, fish, cooking fish in the oven or on a barbecue and then drizzling it with early harvest. I'm huge on potatoes, fried potatoes in it. Fried potatoes in it. It's like we obviously haven't been able to go on a holiday or go back to Greece for 2 years now, and probably for a while we're not going to go back. That's the closest thing that's ever going to bring me to Greece. It's like I'm sitting in Greece eating potatoes in the oven with extra virgin olive oil, our early harvest on it. And not now, because obviously we're not allowed to have guests, but pre-COVID, when my wife used to cook, because that's all we cook with at my place, people used to say, geez, these taste like the potatoes in Greece. And I think, I'm so happy to hear it. So happy to hear it. So that's the white. They're my favourite for the white.
So good. I have to agree. It's really nice when you drizzle it on bread with even a little bit of salt. Yum.
Yeah, a little bit of salt, a little bit of oregano.
Yeah.
I crush up feta cheese on top sometimes after I've dribbled the olive oil. It tastes like no other. Like like I said, I'm biased, but I just can't. Other oils for me just aren't the same.
They pale in comparison.
Yeah, exactly.
100%. And where can we find these products?
So we've obviously got a lot of stockists, bricks and mortar stockists around Melbourne. They may not be open now, unfortunately, but we've got our online, obviously, website. So discoverthewildolive.com. You can buy both products there. You can buy single units. You can buy duo packs. You can buy spend and save packs, where you can buy 2, 4, 6, 8 packs of each. Probably the best place to buy it at the moment, because everything's closed and we're obviously in lockdown. But there are a lot of stockists Australia-wide. And we are not picky about who's stocking it, but it's more so they're in your high-end delis, superfood stores, so on and so forth. Yeah.
Yeah, and I also sell it for those listening
you
as well.
You definitely do sell it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think the medicinal one is high commodity, and people are really interested in that one. So, for those who haven't tried it yet, you definitely need to.
Definitely.
So, on a personal level, what do you do for self-care?
Geez, my self-care's changed dramatically to what I used to do when I was a semi-professional athlete, from training every day, sometimes twice a day. My self-care is now me time, and you get so caught up in life that you think, geez, I haven't moved my body for a long time, and because it was so used to moving at such a high level, when I don't move it or when I don't give it me time, I definitely feel the effects. So self-care for me means it may be something as simple as in the morning after I drop my son off at childcare or kindergarten, going and having my morning coffee by myself for half an hour and just gathering my thoughts. Me time doesn't necessarily mean, for me, a hobby or what I eat or how I exercise. It's the mind is very important. I think without having a relaxed mind and being comfortable in your mind, your soul, your heart, I think that needs to be right and in the right place first, and then the rest will follow suit. So me time every day is my morning coffee by myself for half an hour where I get to gather my thoughts. That's my self-care, at least some of my self-care. And then I try very hard to move my body now a couple of times a week, and I don't do it to look good anymore or to perform at a high level for some activity anymore. I do it purely and simply just to move it and keep that, to give it back something that it's giving me.
Yeah.
To get that health and just moving it. It could be a 10-minute walk with my dog. It could be, some body weight stuff at the park. But those two things, the me time and the mind, the body, the soul, and moving it all together in conjunction is what's become forefront for me at least 2-3 times a week.
That's so good. And following on from that, which this question I ask all my guests, what are your 3 tips for unearthing wellbeing?
Wow. Unearthing wellbeing. I think it stems off what we just spoke about. I think you can train every day. I think your family life and business life and work can all be in order, but if you're not giving back to yourself what your brain, your heart, and your body and soul's giving you, everyone's got a breaking point. I think well-being is different for everyone, and unearthing it is different for everyone. For me, if I had to talk about it personally, I think it's not actually what I do physically or what I eat anymore. Obviously, I try and keep those things in check. I think it's, how I am mentally, how I am in my heart and what I'm putting out there and what I'm looking to receive back. And obviously the soul needs to be comfortable. I think if they're not in check, and you can be doing everything under the sun, I don't think you're going to feel the way you could feel if they were in check. So my unearthing well-being is be comfortable with yourself, look after yourself in all those ways, and then if you can do other things like moving your body and eating right and doing what keeps your body healthy, then I think that's added on top. I really do.
That's a beautiful sentiment and so true. As you said, it's individualized, and that's why I enjoy asking this question to everyone, because they've got a different answer for it. So thank you so much for coming on and educating all of us on wild olive oil. It's much appreciated. And
thanks for having me. I really enjoyed the opportunity.
Thank you so much. I think a lot of people will start dabbling in medicinal range wild olive oil from now on.
I hope they do because, and I mean, going back again, when Manuka honey first was brought to the world, people thought, geez, what's this commodity now and all this product, and it's, look how expensive it is, and there's no price on health. There's no price on health, and some people can afford it, some people can't, but there isn't a price on health for me.
100%. And a great way to end this. So thank you again. I hope you have a lovely day.
Enjoy. Thank you very much.
hope our chat taught you something you may not have known beforehand, as well as motivated you to invest in yourself and reap the benefits of consuming polyphenol antioxidants. To ensure Ask Elizabeth and Unearthing Wellbeing continues to grow, please subscribe and rate the podcast. Feel free to also share and tag us on your socials. I hope you have a lovely day. Be safe and be kind. Take care.